Hakuin is expanding its network of experts in data analytics, data science, and data engineering. And we're building a panel that's quickly becoming a cornerstone in our quest to increase the power of insight and analytics. And this is the first panel of its type, too. Now, within data, as I'm sure is the case within other domains, other fields, a lot of the problems are shared across companies and industries. You might have a unique spin on a problem, but by and large, a lot of the problems, the mass and structure of those problems is common across different environments. Now, I usually break problems or opportunities in data into 3 different buckets, just for simplicity. The first is the tools, infrastructure, technology within the data stack. The second is the org design, the roles, responsibilities, and reporting structures. And finally, the third is the actual content of the work, the analytical outputs, data science outputs. Usually these emerge from requirements in the business or product. Now, across all 3 of these strata, a lot's been tried now. There's a lot that's known that wasn't known before. If you go back 12 or 15 years, let's say around the time that the term big data was emerging, you had to break ground across all 3 of these areas, and there was a lot of trial and error, and that happened for 10, 12, 15 years. But now we're in 2023, and we have a body of knowledge across each of these areas that wasn't known before. By no means am I saying that everything's been solved, and that's far from it, especially when you look at the bleeding edge cases. But the problem is that most companies deal with, a lot of the problems that most companies deal with have been tried enough where we have a good sense for what works and what doesn't work. If you look at org design, for example, a lot's been tried, and there's a good sense of how different org structures relate to different outcomes for different departments. Maybe an analytical project that was new in 2010, today is probably a set of steps that are fairly well known, an input that relates to an output. It's been commoditized. A lot of projects have been commoditized. Tools are maybe a bit different because there's always new tools emerging, but the building blocks and the components within the data infrastructure are known. So the requirements, the things that are needed, the building blocks are known. And so I think a lot's been commoditized, but companies tend to operate in relative isolation, but I don't think this is necessary. I think there's a body of knowledge that companies should be able to take advantage of. And this is where the Hakuin panel comes in. So Hakuin is a full-service data advisory. We work across the spectrum from executive strategy to solution design, even to implementation. And it's rare, actually, for a data advisory to span the entire spectrum, but we do. And the result of that is we really rely upon a network of experts to make sure we're bringing the most recent, relevant feedback to companies. And across tools is a good example, making sure that we source recent feedback and use cases and experience with different tools and platforms. But it occurred to us that really the panel by itself could be a very valuable resource for companies that are making decisions on data infrastructure or solution design as a sounding board, as very valuable, credible context. Now, we want to make that available. And I think of it sort of akin to, let's say if you're doing a renovation in your house, you're putting a new kitchen in. If you're building a new kitchen, you might have a general contractor come in, manage the work. It's very complex. And you really want to have someone managing the whole project. If you're just changing some lighting fixtures or an appliance, this is a great case where the panel by itself could be a valuable resource. We have a network of experts that we can leverage to give best practices, recent experiences, feedback on different things that have been tried. I think this is going to be very valuable. And really, Hakuin's role in this case is just to facilitate engagement between the panel and companies making decisions on different aspects of their data, and in some cases to anonymize information to make sure we shroud company information or personal information. And for the experts in the panel, I think there is also a lot of value for networking with your peers, higher visibility, more opportunities, making sure that the experts know best practices, across different industries, from leadership roles down to ICs. I think there's a lot of value for experts as well to join. So we're still trying to find a few more experts for the panel. If you're interested in joining, go ahead and fill out the questionnaire. I'll post a questionnaire. Fill out the questionnaire so we can consider you for future panels. And let me know if you have any questions. I think this is a valuable resource. It doesn't really exist today in data in this way, and we want to make it accessible so that companies can skip ahead, not make the same mistakes over and over again. There's things that have been solved that experts can guide you on, and we want to make that accessible.